welcome back to my YouTube channel, #moviebae. I am moviebae, and in this video, I'm going to be recapping and reviewing Baddies South. Don't know what episode number this is, didn't write that down. But before we get into it though, I want you to drop down and hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Because here on moviebae, I do reviews, reactions, and commentary to movies and television. And if that's the type of content that you like, you might as well stick around and hit the subscribe button. I also review shows on BET Plus like College Show Celebrity Edition and All the Queen's Men. I review P-Valley, and I'm going to be reviewing Nope very, very soon. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for all of that. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. Y'all know the last episode left off with the fight between Jayla and Rolly. Now, in my personal opinion, Jayla won that one because Jayla has some good, clean jabs on Rolly. So in the midst of this fight, Rock decides she's going to jump in and get her a couple hits in. She did land maybe one, maybe two, but security was in there immediately to break that up. Slim, sees that Rock is jumping in the fight, so she's trying to get at Slim. Well, eventually they do, but Rock just starts pounding Slim, pop, 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 in the head. I'm like, bitch, you probably should have just sat this one out, because how you gonna run up and not be prepared? You should have just sat that one out. So it's low-key chaotic. Like, everybody fighting everybody. And everybody constantly trying to get at each other. Like, they'll break up, talk their shit, and then they'll find their way back to each other. So Slim ends up running up behind Rock and, like, runs into her, grabs her hair, and starts swinging. Now, I did notice that the camera cut when this happened. I feel like Slim probably did get more than... I know she hit her at least once, but... I know that I feel like Slim probably got a couple of hits in because the camera cut, and I personally don't like that. Like, don't show favoritism. If the girl's getting hit, show her getting hit or whatever. So while Slim and Rock are fighting that time, Rolly big ass, and yeah, I'm gonna call her a big ass because I feel like this part wasn't really necessary, especially because later she claimed that she didn't even feel those hits or whatever. So Rolly decides to jump in by grabbing Rock's hair in between security. Like, that shit weak as fuck. So she in between security and just has a handful of Rock's hair. Like, bitch. Like, you at this point, you just being extra, and I didn't feel that vibe. Like, I didn't feel that vibe, especially coming from Rolly, who's so gung-ho on, ain't no jumping around here, ain't no jumping around here. So after that, they popping their shit. Rolly is just talking how she usually does, and she all like, oh, you leaking, you look at you. And I'm like, and the only person leaking is your homegirl. So what the fuck is you talking about? By the way, I wanted to mention while Rolly was jumped in, what's that girl name? Rock fight. I was like, where the hell is Jayla? So I rewinded it, and Jayla was being held back at that time or whatever. So, I haven't watched any reviews on this episode yet, but in case anybody talking about where was Jayla, she was being held back because I rewinded because I was like, where the fuck is Jayla at? But everybody talking shit or whatever. Rolly goes into this rant talking about how Krayshawn vagina is dirty and Jayla ugly. And Jayla was like, baby, you're going to have to come with something much better than that because we all know face card never declines, okay? So Natalie is losing her shit at this point. She like, yo, like, we gotta stop this. The sheriff lives right next door. Y'all don't want to go to jail in this county, this Trump county or whatever. And I'm just thinking, well, why the hell would y'all book an Airbnb right next to the sheriff's house? Because the moment I would have found out, I'd be like, we need to cancel this shit. We need to go somewhere else because, nah, not the type of show that we shoot. So the fight gets eventually broken up after, Rock continues to try to go at people multiple times. The Rock gets broken up or whatever, and we have Slim and Rolly in the house, all right? So Slim and Rolly are receiving medical attention. Rolly claims she jammed her finger, and Slim is getting her scratch wounds patted down with alcohol swabs. And they are still talking shit as if they won. It's giving delusion. Because I don't understand how, if y'all won the fight, why are y'all the only people receiving medical attention? I'm lost. I am very much so lost. Especially Rolly. Because Rolly didn't get nine good hits in on nobody. Not on Rock and not on Jayla. Now, Slim, like I said, I feel like Slim got some hits when she literally ran up behind Krayshawn, literally behind, yanked her hair, and started swinging on her, and they cut the camera. I feel like, you know, Slim probably got her licks back. I mean, not equivalent to Rock pounding her in the head, but, you know, I feel like Slim did get her licks back. But Rolly is really popping shit as if she did something, and I'm confused. So Rock decides to separate herself. She goes to sit on the dock of the bay looking at birds and shit, trying to get peaceful and shit. But she gets up and she says, you know what, I was trying to relax, but I just want to hit a bitch. Rock is still mad, and I low-key don't blame her, because she said she don't know who did it per se, but she said somebody yanked my hair from behind and started hitting me, so she upset about that. So all the other girls start loading into the Sprinter van, and then that's when Rock comes back out, you know, from the dock or whatever, and Natalie, well, it's clear that Rock needs to ride in the van with Jayla, and that van is already full with Natalie, Sway, and everybody else. So Natalie and Sway decide to go to the other van. And when they get to the other van, Natalie is like, oh, well, this van is much bigger. Like, I'm going to ride here. All right? So in my head at this moment, I was like, well, I don't know why Jayla is mad, because clearly we had to separate. That way, because Rock had to ride with Jayla. Like, so some people had to move so Rock could stay away from Slim and Rolly. When Natalie comes back to the bus that Rock and Jayla are at to give Scotty something, Jayla and Rock are looking at Natalie like, bitch, why you switch buses? You fake. If anybody got say something slick about me, I'm busting any bitch in the face. Like, all types of shit like that. And Natalie is shocked at this moment, because she says that Jayla is giving her this hostile energy. So when Jayla started going off and saying shit like that, it was solidified in Natalie's mind that, yeah, I'm riding with Rolly and Slim, because I don't know what this girl is on right now. So Jayla and Rock and them, they all take off on their Sprinter van. I think it's Jayla, Rock, Scotty, and maybe Ann. And they take off in their Sprinter van or whatever. No. And Bree was still in that van at that time. So Natalie is back at the house or whatever, and she comes into the house to check on Rolly and Slim, and Natalie tells them how Jayla was just outside giving her this weird energy, and Rolly confirms to Natalie that Jayla has been talking shit about Natalie behind her back. So y'all know this episode has been very chaotic, because the Baddies bus left the girls. They had to rent local Sprinters to take them into Nashville, but those Sprinter companies said that they're not going to be driving that far. So basically the production team has been driving the girls around the city until they could find flights to Nashville and then book a hotel for the night. So in the midst of riding around, we have the divide getting stronger, basically. So, and Natalie, Rolly, and Slim's bus, they're excited to go to the next town. They are still delusional that they won the fights. Natalie tells them that she peeped vibes yesterday, like weird vibes from Rock and Jayla yesterday when she was talking and she was getting interrupted. Yeah. So Natalie was like, ever since then, it's been feeling off. And I honestly think that this whole thing between Natalie and Jayla is like a whole misunderstanding. It's giving jealousy, and it's very childish. So, you know, Natalie and Jayla were cool prior to coming into the show. Jayla started hanging out with Rock. I kind of feel like Natalie was jealous of that, because Rock was supposed to be like her baby girl. So I guess like when Jayla and Rock got close, Natalie could have been feeling jealous about it. And then especially, you know, with the over talking shit, that is annoying anyways. So I can understand why Natalie, you know, was upset about that. Also, I guess notable mention on that bus is that Rolly was talking about how Rock's underwears are dirty. Now I want to say this, all my ladies, discharge is normal. Vaginal discharge is normal. However, depending on the color and odor of that discharge, that is when it's dirty. So not just if, you know, her natural lady juices were dried up, but if those lady juices were green and stanky, then okay. But like, I don't know, like, I just feel like they mad and now they just throwing all types of insults. Anyways, on Jayla and Rock's bus, and Scotty, everybody was talking about how they felt the tension prior to the fight. Like when Natalie was asking if everybody was okay, everybody knew something was going to pop off, but they did not know to what magnitude. Jayla and Rock, we found out that Jayla and Rock was not invited. Like how the fight started was Jayla and Rock was not invited to go out to the after party turn up or whatever. Why they weren't invited? I feel like Natalie intentionally did not invite them because she was still mad that she was getting cut off and that of their little bond that Jayla and Rock have built. That's why I was like, this is some childish shit. Because you could say all day, like, if whenever we go out, who we invite is who we invite, and everybody else just needs to not be mad about it. But if I'm your friend prior to this show and you invite everybody else out instead of me, that's some shady shit. So Jayla got the right to be mad. Like, bitch, the fuck you thought? And Jayla was even more mad because everybody was sneaking, getting dressed, acting like nothing was happening, and left us at the hotel or left us at the house. Like, that's some fake ass shit. Like, if I'm not invited, tell me in my fucking face I'm not invited. Tell me why I'm not invited instead of trying to sneak around and do some shit. And that is typical classic Bad Girls Club shit. Everybody want to sneak around and get dressed and then leave bitches at home. Like, y'all know we fans. If we watching Baddies, we watch BGC, and y'all know this is what happens on these types of shows or whatever. So they said that Jayla and Rock was saying all that water bottle bullshit was just bullshit, basically. So it's the next day, and the ladies finally made it to Tennessee. So there's a new divide. We have Natalie, Rolly, Slim, Bree, and Sway. They are now on a Sprinter van on the way to the Airbnb, and Rock, Jayla, and Scotty are on another. So on Natalie's bus, she talks about how she wants to have fun, do a fun activity to release some tension. Hopefully we can get maybe some competitive sports types thing or something that's kind of like legit fun. Like, I don't know, ultimate game of beer pong. I don't fucking know. But Rolly calls out that the problem is people talk about others behind each other's backs, and then they want to play buddy buddy when it's time to smoke or turn up or whatever, which happens. That happens on these shows. Natalie is talking about how Rock and Jayla are being mad because they weren't invited out, and that was made clear last night. And everybody on that Sprinter talks about how Scotty has chosen her side. I put side in quotation marks on my notes because why does there even have to be a side? This beef, quote unquote, started between shit. Who the fuck knows for real? I feel like it's really Jayla and Natalie beef, and then everybody else just got offended. I personally feel like that's what it is. And so it's like it's weird. It is like, what the fuck? So Natalie brings up how Jayla has been requesting to have her own room this entire time due to her spirituality. And Rolly's like, that girl's not spiritual, she fake, because spiritual people don't do what she just did. Spiritual people ain't messy. Girl, have you not been to church? And then Natalie also says that she doesn't want to fight Jayla because they are friends or they were close. She was like, but if it comes down to it, and then Natalie ain't say shit because y'all know Natalie ain't about that shit. Natalie don't want to fight Jayla. She will lose that fight. Natalie knows how to pick her battles. I don't think Natalie is ever scared, but she knows who she can turn up on and who to play it down on, you know? So on Jayla and Rock's bus, Ann mentions how she doesn't even get cute anymore because this house is a war zone. And they also talk about how when the girls were loading the plane, Jayla was behind Natalie, and behind Jayla was Bree and Sway. I guess Bree and Sway were talking shit or something, and Jayla caught them out. She was like, why y'all back there talking? Anything that I've said about Natalie, I have said to Natalie. And she confirms it with Natalie, and Natalie is like, yes, or whatever. So that's why it's a new divide with Sway and Bree both being on the bus with Natalie, Rolly, and Slim now. Scotty points out, and I agree, how everybody else is jumping in a beef that does not belong to them, meaning Bree, Sway. They want Ann and Scotty to pick sides. Like, she's saying, y'all want to, jump in somebody else's beef, and that's what's fucking weird. So she talks about, even though it might have been, some arguments, the people who fist fought, Rock and Slim, why is Rolly trying to jump in the fight between Rock and Slim? because that led to Jayla wanting to jump in the fight. And then that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, let these two people duke it out and go on about your day. Because if it's fair, it's fair. Why do you want to fight me now? I agree with Scotty 100% because that is what is fucking up the dynamic. And also says that how Natalie is being messy, and instead of being messy, since you are the OG, since you are an EP, you could be on the show, but you should probably be trying to play mediator versus egging on the mess. So when the girls get to the Airbnb, we find out that there are two modern houses, really, really cute. My type of, like, if I built a home, my shit gonna look like that. And the girls pull up and they're having a little standoff that we were all anticipating. So Natalie is basically narrating how she usually narrates, talking about how they have shit to do in Nashville and that everybody needs to get out that fighting shit. She says that the girls should remain split since they have two Airbnbs until everybody gets a chance to have a sit-down one-on-one talk and talk out their problems. In the midst of Natalie talking, I guess Jayla is mean mugging Natalie, and Natalie calls it out. She's like, yo, Jayla, why are you looking at me like that? And Jayla's like, oh, what, you don't want me looking at you? You can't handle no eye contact? Is you scared? And then the moment she said that, production jumped in. Like, everybody like, no, production, security, they broke that shit up expeditiously. Because you got to protect Natalie at all costs. So next week, we basically don't have a tell of two clicks back and forth like we've been doing this episode. Even though it's a lot of nothing and a lot of talking this episode, I do like how it was edited, because every time something was said on one bus, they would clip or they would skip to the next bus to comment on that same situation. So I really like it. Was a lot of talking, but I like how they edited it together. Next week, Nat and Jayla are going to have a one-on-one, and then they're going to go out in Nashville on a bike bar. So be sure y'all hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for next week's commentary. Like this video if you enjoyed, and leave a comment down below. Should everybody just mind their own business? If y'all hear any rumbling, that is my stomach. I'm hungry. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts on this episode. Subscribe, like, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.